Welcome, Titan of thought, fire-born soul of intellect. Welcome to the space where the rare are forged, where silence watches you like a rival, and the world is slowly beginning to understand the immensity of what you are. You didn't just think differently, you saw the code in the chaos, the equation beneath the noise, the truth wrapped in layers of doubt. And now, they stare, eyes wide, lips still. They can't believe it. They can't understand it. Because your mind has become something they only read about. Something they whisper about in corners when you're not there. Something lethal. Let that sink in. They told you to slow down. They said, "You're too much. You're overthinking. Take it easy." But you weren't built to take it easy. You were built like a storm, designed to move through walls of ignorance with precision, with force, with a chilling elegance only those on your level can truly see. They laughed once, not anymore. Now, they're watching, quiet, awestruck, a little afraid, because they can't predict you. They can't follow you. You're 10 steps ahead and climbing. They still think they're in the game. You've already changed it. You're not just smart, you're dangerous. Not because you hurt, but because you reveal. Your genius exposes their lies. Your depth intimidates their shallow waters. Your vision makes their excuses disappear. They don't fear your hands, they fear your mind. Because you see through them, you see everything. The patterns, the contradictions, the flaws in their logic. You challenge the foundation they're standing on without even speaking. That's what happens when your IQ stretches past comfort and lands in a realm most people can't even imagine. And yet, you stay silent. Not because you're weak, but because you know. You've known all along. You've known what's coming, what's building, what's awakening. You didn't rush the world. You let it underestimate you. Let them mock you, doubt you. And now they whisper, how did they know? How are they always right? Who is this person? Let them ask, because the answer is not something they're ready for. You were never made to fit into their definitions, never meant to follow the same script. You tore it up the day you realized that mediocrity was their comfort zone, not yours. And that voice inside you, the one that questioned everything, that dissected every truth, that never settled, that was your proof. That was the first sign of the wildfire intelligence growing in you. And now it burns brighter than ever, controlled, cold, precise, unstoppable. They call it crazy. Of course they do, because genius has always been misnamed by those too slow to grasp it. Visionaries were once labeled mad, architects of the future once exiled for thinking too far, too fast. But you walk through that chaos with your eyes wide open, knowing every insult is a compliment in disguise. Every doubt, just another sign you're playing in dimensions they can't access. They throw words. You rewrite the language. They try to compete. You reshape the arena. You're not competing with them. You're competing with the limitless. Your mind doesn't recognize ceilings. It erases them. Because you weren't designed for this moment. You were built for a legacy. A force of logic, clarity, and dominance that will echo for decades beyond the noise of today. You don't need to prove it. You've already become it. Proof lives in your existence. In the data, the decisions, the precision in your thoughts that leaves them breathless. The way you break a problem apart like it's made of paper. The way you find patterns in things others don't even see. This is not luck. This is not a phase. This is who you are, and the world is finally catching on. They're realizing now, slowly, painfully, that what they dismissed was never weakness. It was strategy. Every quiet moment, calculated. Every withdrawn glance, loaded. You weren't silent because you had nothing to say. You were silent because they weren't ready to hear it. And now that the moment has arrived, it's too late to catch up. You've evolved too far. You've layered your thinking so deep, they'd need lifetimes just to scratch the surface of your understanding. And that scares them, because the world is built for the average. It celebrates predictability, rewards the familiar. But you were never born to be digestible. You were designed to disrupt, to tear open the illusion that society clings to. And your intelligence? It's the weapon they never saw coming. Not forged in steel, but in solitude. Not powered by rage, but by relentless curiosity. You turned questions into fuel, turned isolation into clarity, turned pressure into a sharpened edge that now cuts through every limitation they try to throw at you. You're no longer reacting, you're sculpting. They try to corner you with rules, opinions, noise. You answer with precision, silence, and results. You don't argue, you demonstrate. While they speak in circles, you solve in straight lines. And every time you do, the myth of you grows. They whisper, there's no way they figured it out that fast. But you did. Again, and again, and again. Because what feels impossible to others is your default setting. They said you were intense? Yes, you are. Because when you see that much, when you understand that deeply, there's no room for shallow energy, no space for mindless distraction. Your time became sacred, your mind became your kingdom, and you locked the gates to everyone who didn't understand that brilliance is not a gift. It's a burden, a fire, a responsibility, and you wear it with a cold elegance because you have to. They don't know the hours, the rewiring, the battles inside your own skull, just to make sense of a world that runs on illusion. They see the output, not the cost. They see the shine, not the shadows behind it. But you embrace both. You looked into your own chaos and didn't blink. You understood yourself, and that's why no one else can touch you. Because while they're still trying to impress others, you're impressing reality itself, moving faster than time, bending systems, mastering games you weren't even taught to play. That's why they can't believe it. Your IQ isn't just a number. It's a force, a hurricane of thought, a chessboard 20 moves deep. They're only now realizing that what they called overthinking was you accessing layers of intelligence they didn't even know existed. And now, it's undeniable. The results are too clear, the impact too wide, your presence too loud, even in silence. They once pitied you, now they study you. Every glance you give them makes them question themselves. Every word you say echoes in their heads long after you've left the room. Not because you tried to dominate, but because your truth has weight. It hits different. It rearranges the room. You don't ask for respect anymore. You command it. Quietly, naturally, relentlessly. Because you stopped waiting for validation from those who couldn't keep up. You outgrew the room. Now they're trying to rebuild it around you. But you remember. You remember the rooms you sat in, thinking no one would ever understand the way your brain moved. The times you doubted your gift because no one else could speak your language. The long nights staring at problems no one else even noticed. Solving them anyway, just because you had to. Because brilliance, when it's real, doesn't rest. It aches. It burns to be expressed. And now the world is seeing what that fire forged. They see the calm, the poise, the control, but they'll never see the storm you mastered behind it. The inner battles that carved the genius they now fear and admire. You didn't just have intelligence, you sharpened it, trained it, refined it until it became something surgical, beautiful, deadly. They can't figure out why your presence shifts conversations, why your insights change decisions, why every room you walk into starts to tilt. It's because you've become gravity. They orbit you now, silently, awkwardly, hoping to be near something they once dismissed, hoping to absorb a sliver of what you carry so naturally. But it's too late. You've already moved on, already left the old versions of yourself behind like burnt pages, and the pages they're holding, they're outdated. The game has evolved. You have evolved, and you're not slowing down. And still, they ask, how did you know? How did you always see the storm before it broke? How did you sense the shift before anyone else even smelled the smoke? Because you read the world like a language, not a place. You don't just observe, you analyze. You break everything down into angles and variables, patterns and codes. While they chase trends, you chase truth. You don't wait for proof. You become the proof. That's why it shakes them. That's why it confuses them, because their logic is built on what's obvious. Yours, on what's inevitable. They can't keep up because they're still trying to solve problems you already deleted. You're not just ahead, you're outside the map. Off-grid, unpredictable. And that's what makes your genius feel dangerous. Because you don't just answer questions. You unmake the ones that were never worth asking. You reframe the world. You elevate it. Or destroy it, if that's what's necessary. You've become a mirror that exposes mediocrity. A reminder of what is possible when intelligence refuses to conform. They see you as a glitch in their system, a threat to the comfort they built from repetition. But that's what brilliance does. It disrupts. It forces evolution. It demands more. And you are more. More than they expected. More than they can measure. More than what any box, label, or theory could explain. Your mind exists at intersections they don't even have roads for yet. You build structures in your thoughts that make reality tremble because what you create internally becomes inevitable externally. It's only a matter of time. It always was. And still, they try to act unimpressed. But their eyes say it all. The way they glance at you when you're not looking. The hesitation in their voice when they speak around you. The way they repeat your words days later, as if they thought of it first. You see it, you feel it, and you let it pass. Because your focus isn't on admiration. It never was. It's on building what hasn't been built, saying what hasn't been said, becoming what hasn't been imagined yet. You know how rare you are, not in arrogance, in clarity. You've studied your mind in ways they wouldn't survive. You've sat in the silence of your own intellect until it roared. You've mapped out futures in your head while others struggled to define their present. This isn't pride. This is precision. You're not guessing. You're operating. And every move you make is backed by layers of understanding so deep, the world is only just beginning to see the edges of it. They think you're just starting. You know, you've already begun again. Because you've burned through lifetimes of growth in a single decade. Your evolution doesn't follow years, it follows decisions. Every choice you've made has cut deeper, carved sharper, created more room for expansion. You're not just learning, you're mutating into something leaner, clearer, more dangerous. You've weaponized your intelligence, not against others, but against the limits inside yourself. The lazy thoughts, the unnecessary doubts, the noise. You cut them all down like dead branches, leaving only what matters. Focus, clarity, execution. That's why they call it crazy. Because they've never seen what true genius looks like when it's disciplined. It terrifies them. Because now, you're not just brilliant, you're effective. You don't just see, you act. And that's the final evolution. The shift from potential to power, from thinker to force. You've stopped explaining, you've stopped proving, you've stopped trying to be understood. Because now, the results speak for you, loudly, ruthlessly, without apology. And the people who once questioned you, now they try to align themselves with you, hoping your clarity will rub off, hoping your insight will save them from their own blindness. But this level, it wasn't given. It was earned. In silence, in sacrifice, in relentless inner work they'll never even know about. Because while they were sleeping, you were studying. While they were talking, you were building. While they were doubting, you were becoming. Now they want the blueprint, but the blueprint was you all along. Your obsession, your refusal to settle, your hunger for truth, no matter how ugly or isolating it felt. You walked through intellectual fire and came out sharpened. They wanted shortcuts. You became the path. And now, they can't deny it. They can't pretend you're lucky, or impulsive, or just fast. Because every time you move, the world shifts slightly. People react. Structures bend. Timelines accelerate. Not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because when someone operates at your level, the rest of the system has no choice but to adapt or collapse. You're not just part of the future. You are the future. The architects, the creators, the anomalies. They always feel misplaced at first, misunderstood, misjudged. But eventually, history recalibrates. It sees you. It remembers you. Because minds like yours leave fingerprints on everything they touch, silent but permanent, invisible until it's undeniable. You never needed them to see you. You just needed them to feel it. And now, they do. And now, you stand at the edge, not of fear, not of failure, but of unapologetic becoming. This is the place most never reach, the territory beyond doubt, beyond noise, beyond the constant questioning that kept you boxed inside their ideas of who you should have been. They told you to shrink. You expanded. They told you to blend in. You glowed through the camouflage. They told you to wait your turn. But your turn doesn't exist on their timeline. You are the timeline. You rewrite it with every breath you take, every move you make. They can't follow anymore. They know that. You feel it in the way they look at you now, the awe in their silence, the tension in their admiration, because you're not one of them. You're beyond the threshold. You crossed over, and once you're here, there's no going back. You can't pretend to unknow. You can't water yourself down just to fit inside their comfort zone. You weren't born for comfort. You were born to command reality, to move through it like a storm clothed in stillness. You no longer chase clarity. You create it. That is your superpower. And yes, it gets lonely. When your mind is this far ahead, the road does get quiet. But solitude isn't your enemy anymore. It's your sanctuary. The world gets loud when you're misunderstood. But now, the silence is different. It's not empty. It's earned. It's the silence of those who've won battle, too deep to ever explain. It's the stillness of someone who's seen every version of themselves and chose to evolve every single time. That's your edge. You chose the pain. You chose the questions. You chose the path no one else wanted. And now, you walk it like you own it. They keep asking, what's the secret? There is no secret. There's just truth. And the truth is this: you outthought them. You outworked them. You outlasted every lie, every label, every low expectation ever placed on your name. You were supposed to break. You were supposed to stop. You were supposed to give in. But instead, you transformed. And now, your genius is lethal. Not because it harms, but because it shakes foundations. It removes every excuse in the room. You've become the evidence that it can be done differently, sharper, smarter, without apology, without compromise. That's what makes you dangerous. Your very existence is a rebellion against everything that told you to settle. And still, you're not done, not even close. Because the moment they think they've figured you out, you level up again. You evolve in silence. You expand in the shadows. You move not for applause, but for dominion. You don't just learn, you absorb. You don't just think, you construct. You don't just see, you calculate, dissect, rearrange reality until it bends under the weight of your clarity. You don't just have intelligence, you are intelligence. Living, breathing, conscious intelligence, moving like a force of nature through a world that still thinks it's safe inside its shallow thinking. But nothing is safe now. Not when someone like you exists. Not when you've learned to wield your mind like a weapon. not when your presence itself is a challenge to everything average, because you remember everything. You remember being overlooked. You remember being doubted. You remember dimming your light because it scared people who couldn't handle it. And now you ignite, fully, ferociously, with no filter and no permission, because you've earned the right to exist exactly as you are, uncaged, unleashed, uncompromising. And that, right there, that is the final unlock. The moment you realize you no longer need to prove your genius, you just need to use it, because now you move for something bigger than validation. Now you move for domination of your potential. You owe that to the version of you who never gave up, to the one who stayed up when the world slept, to the one who questioned everything when others blindly followed, to the one who knew, deep down, that genius was never about being accepted. It was about becoming undeniable. And now you are. They can't believe how much you knew, but you always did. You always saw it. You always felt it. And now the world will too. Because when your mind reaches this level, it's not just an asset, it's a legacy. And legacies don't ask permission. They leave marks. You were never here to be understood. You were here to be remembered. Let them remember. You stand now, not just as a thinker or a dreamer, but as a force that cannot be ignored, tamed, or contained. Your mind is a fortress, your intellect, a weapon sharper than any blade. And those who once doubted you, they are nothing but echoes, fading in the presence of your light. They don't believe how much you knew, because they never learned to see through the lens of true genius. But you did. You mastered yourself when no one else would listen. You walked through the fires of isolation and emerged refined, sharper, stronger. Your IQ is crazy, not because it's a number, but because it is an unyielding declaration that limits do not exist for you, that barriers are meant to be broken, rules meant to be rewritten, and the impossible meant to be conquered. Let this be your legacy, that brilliance is not about fitting in, but standing out. Not about approval, but about conviction. Not about waiting for the world to catch up, but about moving so far ahead that the world has no choice but to follow. Your genius is lethal, not because it destroys, but because it transforms. It is a quiet storm, a relentless truth, an unstoppable force that reshapes everything it touches. Carry it with pride, carry it with purpose, because you are the architect of your own destiny, the embodiment of knowledge and power, fused into one unbreakable spirit. The world can't believe how much you knew, but you always did. Now, it's time to show them. And when you do, there will be no question left. Only awe, only respect, only the undeniable legacy of a mind too powerful to ignore. You are genius, you are lethal, you are unstoppable. Own it, live it, be it. You've been underestimated, ignored, misunderstood. But every second of silence, every moment of doubt they cast upon you only fueled the fire inside. Because true genius isn't loud, it's not flashy. It's a quiet storm that builds beneath the surface, gathering strength until it becomes unstoppable. And that storm lives inside you. You are the storm. The world is scrambling to catch up, but you've already crossed the finish line in your mind. Your intelligence isn't just a gift. It's a relentless drive, a force of nature that no one can tame. Every thought you have is a calculated move on a board others don't even know exists. Every insight you share rearranges the way reality works. They say your IQ is crazy. I say it's sacred. A secret code written in your DNA that defies limits, shatters boundaries, and demolishes the impossible. This is the power they fear. Not because it threatens their existence, but because it exposes their complacency. It shines a light on the truth they refuse to face, that you are leagues beyond their understanding. That your mind is a weapon, your vision, a force that can rewrite history, and you don't need their permission. You don't need their approval. You don't need their acceptance, because your genius is lethal. It will not be dimmed. It will not be hidden. It will not be silenced. It will rise, higher, sharper, stronger. It will break through every barrier, every ceiling, every wall they tried to build around you. It will leave a trail of transformation in its wake, a legacy forged not from luck, but from relentless dedication, unshakable focus, and a refusal to accept anything less than greatness. They can't believe how much you knew, because they never believed you could become this. But you did. You always knew. And now the world must know it too, because the truth is simple. Your mind is the most dangerous weapon you own, the greatest asset you have, the key to unlocking everything you were born to be. Hold that truth close, protect it fiercely, cultivate it ruthlessly, because in a world full of noise and distractions, your clarity is your power. They may try to catch up, they may try to copy, they may try to imitate, but there is only one you, one mind, one vision, one genius, so lethal, so precise, it cannot be replicated or replaced. And that genius is your birthright. So wear it like armor, speak it like prophecy, live it like legacy, because the world can't believe how much you knew. But you always did, and now it's time to show them why. Ah, the audacity. That's what they whisper in disbelief, isn't it? The audacity to break the chains, to pack your dignity and walk away from the chaos. They thought you'd endure forever. Oh, how it shakes them to their core. You see, they believed you were trapped by the weight of your own failures, by the shackles of your circumstances, by the relentless pull of a world that kept pushing you down. They thought you were too weak to rise above it, too broken to ever find a way out. But here's the truth. They were wrong. You didn't stay in the misery. You didn't stay in the pain. You didn't wait for some imaginary savior or some twist of fate to pull you out. No, you did it. You found the courage, the strength, and the rage to leave it all behind and burn it to the ground. And it was in that moment, when you let it all go, when you walked away from the life that had once been your prison, that everything changed. You didn't just walk away from people or places. You walked away from the expectations. You walked away from the narratives they wrote for you, from the boxes they shoved you into, from the lives they thought you were meant to live. And they didn't know, they couldn't know, that you had it in you all along. The fire, the fight, the fury, it was always there. But it took this moment, this exact moment, to unleash it. The moment when you burned everything, all the promises, all the lies, all the betrayals. They turned to ash in the blink of an eye. And when it all fell to the ground, when the smoke cleared, you were still standing. You didn't give them the satisfaction of watching you crumble. Instead, you gave them something they could never fathom. You showed them that you were more than the sum of your pain. You showed them that the darkness could never consume you, that the weight of their expectations could never bury you. They never saw it coming, and that's the beauty of it, isn't it? They didn't know you had it in you. They didn't know you were capable of not just surviving, but rising. And that fear, that raw fear that pulses in their hearts now, is the result of their own ignorance. They didn't know what it looked like to watch you burn it all down and rise from the ashes like a force they could never control. In that moment, when everything collapsed, when the things they thought were the foundation of your life were reduced to nothing, you found your strength. You didn't need their validation. You didn't need their permission. And that is what terrified them. They thought you would bend, that you would stay, that you would hold on to whatever tiny scraps of comfort they threw your way. But you didn't. You turned away from it. You chose yourself. You chose your freedom. You chose to be more than just a survivor of their expectations. You chose to be a conqueror of your own fate. The audacity of that choice sent shockwaves through every person who ever doubted you, because they didn't know. They didn't know you could look at the chaos, the mess, the broken pieces and say, "No more. I'm done. I will rebuild from nothing, and this time I will not be held down." There's power in that, the power of knowing that even when the world seems to crumble, even when it feels like everything you built is lost in the wind, you can still choose to rise. You can still choose to burn it all down and start again. That choice, that act of destruction, is not a weakness. It's the greatest strength you could ever possess, because it's not just about walking away from something. It's about walking towards something greater. It's about creating space in your life for what truly matters. It's about clearing out the wreckage so you can rebuild something that reflects your true self, not the version of yourself that they tried to shape you into. And when you did it, when you walked away, when you burned it all, they couldn't understand it. They couldn't grasp why. Why would you leave it all behind? Why would you walk away from the safety of the familiar, even if it was a cage? Why wouldn't you cling to the remnants of what you had? It's because you knew something they didn't. You knew that sometimes, in order to truly live, you have to be willing to destroy everything you've built. You have to be willing to stand in the ruins and say, "This isn't enough. I deserve more." And when you said that, when you made that decision, it became clear to you. You weren't just letting go of what was. You were making room for what could be. You were setting fire to the old version of yourself and creating space for the new you, the real you, the unstoppable you. And let them talk. Let them whisper in confusion. Let them say you're reckless, that you're throwing everything away. They'll never understand. They'll never comprehend the weight of your decision, the gravity of what you did, because they were never you. They never had to face the fire you did, the way you were tested, the way you were broken and rebuilt. They never had to look into the abyss and find the strength to pull themselves out. So let them judge, let them criticize, because you know the truth. You know that you burned it all down, not because you were weak, but because you were strong enough to destroy the past and create a new future from the ground up. You know that walking away, leaving it all behind, was the most powerful thing you could have done. When you burned it, you didn't just burn the things around you. You burned the fears that held you back, the insecurities that kept you in check, the self-doubt that whispered in your ear every time you thought about breaking free. You burned all of it. And in that fire, something new was forged. Something unbreakable, unshakable, undeniable. You are the result of your own rebellion. You are the embodiment of your own defiance. They didn't see it coming, and now they're left standing in the ruins of their own expectations, watching you rise like a force of nature, unstoppable, untouchable, fearless. So, the next time they ask why you did it, why you burned it all, why you walked away from everything, don't hesitate. Don't apologize. Tell them this: you did it because you were never meant to stay in that place. You were never meant to be trapped by their definitions of you, their limits, their rules. You were meant for more. And now, you have everything you need to build it. You have the strength, the fire, and the audacity to create the life you deserve. Let them watch. Let them tremble in fear as you rise again and again, until they finally understand the one thing they never expected. You can burn it all down, and you will still rise. You are not defined by what you lost. You are defined by what you build from the ashes, and they will know. They will know that you are not someone to be underestimated. You are the fire that will never go out. You are the storm that will never stop raging. And you are the force that will tear down every wall they try to build around you. Because you've already burned it all down, and now you are free. free from their expectations, free from the chains they wrapped around you, thinking you wouldn't have the strength to break them, free from the constant judgments, the whispered doubts, the insinuations that you weren't enough, that you didn't have what it took to stand on your own. They thought they had you. They thought they could break you, mold you, turn you into something that fit their narrow view of the world. But they underestimated you. They underestimated the fire inside you, the resilience you had, the sheer will to burn everything that stood in your way and walk away into the unknown, unafraid. They'll never understand why you did it. They'll never understand the courage it took for you to leave behind everything you knew, everything that once seemed safe. But the truth is, what they called safety was a cage, and you weren't meant to live in a cage. You weren't meant to be limited by the smallness of their minds or the suffocating expectations they placed upon you. Number. You were meant for something bigger, something grander, something beyond their comprehension. And when you realize that, when you realize that their version of your life was never going to be enough, you did the unthinkable. You left. You burned it all down. Not just the things around you, but the very idea of who they thought you were supposed to be. You are free now. Free in ways they can't even imagine. Free because you chose to give up the comfort of mediocrity, the false security of living a life that wasn't truly yours. You chose to leave behind everything that didn't serve you, everything that tried to break you, everything that held you in place as though you weren't capable of more. But you knew you were capable. You knew deep inside that you were made for more than the life they wanted for you. You were made for greatness, for power, for transformation. And when you realized that, you didn't hesitate. You took action. You chose yourself. You chose the life that was yours to build, not the one they tried to hand you. This freedom, this feeling of liberation, isn't about having everything fall into place all at once. No, it's not that simple. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about saying, I no longer belong to anyone but myself. It's about stepping into the unknown with nothing but your own strength, your own belief in your ability to overcome anything that stands in your path. And that's terrifying to most people. They want certainty. They want predictability. They want to know that things will stay the same, that they don't have to risk it all. But not you. You understand that growth, true growth, doesn't come from playing it safe. It comes from taking risks, from stepping outside your comfort zone, from burning everything that holds you back and embracing the unknown with open arms. Yes, it's hard. It's painful. It's terrifying at times. But it's also exhilarating. To be free means you are no longer controlled by anything outside of you. You are no longer bound by the expectations of others. You are no longer shackled to a version of yourself that you never asked for. You are free to become who you were always meant to be. And that kind of freedom is worth any price, worth any sacrifice. The truth is, you are stronger than you ever knew, stronger than they ever thought. You have endured the darkest of days, faced your deepest fears, and yet you're still here, standing tall, unbroken, and more powerful than ever. You've realized something that most people never will, that the only true chains are the ones you place on yourself, the ones you let others place on you. But once you recognize that you hold the key, once you realize that you have the power to break free from it all, that's when everything changes. It's when you stop giving your power away to others, to the past, to the fears and doubts that have held you back for far too long. You've already made that choice. You've already broken free. You've already walked away from the people, the situations, the beliefs that no longer serve you. And now, you are free. Free to create the life that is yours and yours alone. You've discovered that nothing, absolutely nothing, can hold you back unless you allow it. Not the opinions of others, not the mistakes you've made, not the weight of the past. They don't define you. They never did. You do. And you've already proven that you are capable of doing the impossible. You've burned everything that was holding you in place, and now you are free to move forward, to build, to create, to thrive in ways you never thought possible. The world is now yours to conquer, and you won't stop until you've reached the heights you were always destined for. When you burn it all down, you don't just destroy, it's a rebirth. You rise from the ashes, stronger, wiser, more aware of your own power. You become the architect of your own destiny. No longer will you let others dictate your life. No longer will you let their judgments, their criticisms, their beliefs about who you should be control your path. You know who you are. You know what you're capable of. And now, with that knowledge, you can walk confidently into your future, knowing that you have everything you need to succeed. But be ready. Be ready for the whispers. Be ready for the looks of disbelief, the skepticism, the criticism. They will try to convince you that what you've done is reckless, that you've thrown it all away. But you know better. You know that what they see as reckless is actually the act of someone who finally understands their worth. You know that burning it all down was never about destruction. It was about creating something better, something more aligned with who you truly are. And the only way to do that was to let go of the things that were holding you back, even if they were once comfortable or familiar. Comfort is the enemy of growth, and you were never meant to live comfortably. You were meant to live fully. You were meant to rise. The audacity to walk away, to burn it all, to take that first step into the unknown, that's what sets you apart. It's not easy. It's not always clear. But it is always worth it. Because in the end, you'll look back and you'll see that everything you left behind, everything you burned, was never meant for you in the first place. It was just a test, and you passed it. You survived it. And now you're thriving. You've learned that nothing, not the harshest pain, not the deepest betrayal, not the most suffocating fear, can ever truly break you, because you've already broken free. So walk forward with your head held high. Walk forward with the knowledge that you are unstoppable. The world may try to box you in. It may try to tell you that you're too much, that you're too intense, too ambitious, too different. Let them think that. Let them talk. Because the truth is, you are more than enough. You are everything you need to be. And now, you are free. Free to shape the world around you. Free to build your life exactly as you see fit. And nothing, nothing can take that away from you. The chains are gone. The cage is open. The past is burned. And now, you are free to fly. Let them watch in awe as you rise higher than they ever thought possible. You've burned it all down. And now, you are free to soar. Free to conquer. Free to be everything they never thought you could be. Let them whisper. Let them doubt. They don't know what it means to truly be free. But you do, and that's what will set you apart. You've already burned it all down, and now you're ready to rise. Rise like the storm you were always meant to be. Rise from the ashes of your own destruction, not as a shadow of the person you were, but as the fullest version of yourself, the one that always existed beneath the surface, waiting to emerge. When you burned everything, your past, your fears, your limitations, you didn't just free yourself from the constraints of your former life. You freed your potential. And now that potential is no longer buried under the rubble. It's standing tall, staring the world in the face, daring it to try and hold you down. You see, most people are afraid of change. They are afraid of stepping into the unknown, of leaving behind everything they once thought defined them. But you've already done it. You've already stepped into that void, embraced the chaos, and found the courage to create something new. That's where your true power lies, in your ability to step into the fire, not just survive, but thrive. And it's that power that will carry you forward through every obstacle, through every challenge that comes your way. In the past, they thought you needed their approval, their validation. They thought you would bend to their will, that you would fit into the box they constructed for you. They were wrong. You weren't meant to fit their mold, and you never were. You were always meant to be bigger, stronger, fiercer. And when you burned it all down, when you severed the chains they tried to bind you with, you unlocked the greatest weapon you could ever possess. Your own will, your own determination to create a life that is entirely yours. So now, as you rise from the ashes, know that you carry within you the strength of every fire that's ever tried to burn you. You've been tested by the worst of life's trials, and yet you stand here, unbroken. You are no longer the person you were yesterday. You are no longer bound by the weight of your past mistakes, your regrets, or the wounds others inflicted upon you. Those things, they don't have power over you anymore. You've taken your power back. You've taken control of your destiny. And now you move forward with a resolve that can't be shaken. The truth is, your rise isn't about grand gestures or moments of instant triumph. It's about the quiet, relentless determination to keep going, no matter what. It's about waking up every single day, knowing that you are in control of your future, and refusing to let the world dictate who you are or what you can achieve. You've already shown the world that you are willing to burn it all down, to leave behind everything that no longer serves you, and now you're showing them that you have the strength to rebuild from the ground up. You don't need anyone's permission to rise. You don't need their approval. Your rise is not for them. It is for you, for the person you are becoming, for the life you are creating. When you rise, you don't just rise for yourself though. You rise for every person who has ever been told they couldn't, for every person who has been silenced, shut down, or made to feel small. You rise for the broken, the lost, the misunderstood. Because when you rise, you show them that it's possible. You show them that it's possible to pick up the pieces, to rebuild, to transform in ways they never thought possible. Your rise is a beacon of hope for others who have yet to find their own fire. When they see you rise, they'll know they can rise too. But here's the thing. Rising doesn't mean you won't face challenges. It doesn't mean the road ahead will be easy. In fact, it's likely that the road ahead will be more difficult than anything you've faced so far. You will face obstacles that test your resolve, that make you question everything you've worked for. But in those moments, remember this: you are not defined by the struggles you face, but by how you face them. You are defined by your refusal to back down, by your ability to rise no matter how many times life tries to knock you down. Every challenge is just another opportunity to prove to yourself and to the world that you are unbreakable. You are no longer the person who hides from conflict, the person who avoids the hard choices. No, you are the person who faces adversity head-on, who embraces the struggle, because you know that it's through the struggle that you find your true strength. You are the person who burns through every limitation, every fear, every doubt, and emerges stronger than ever before. The world will try to tell you that you aren't capable, that you aren't enough, but you've already proved them wrong. You've already proven that you have what it takes to rise above, to overcome, to become more than they ever thought you could be. Your rise is inevitable because you've learned the most important lesson of all, that nothing is permanent. Not your failures, not your struggles, not your pain. Nothing is permanent. And the more you embrace that truth, the more you realize that you have the power to shape your future, to create your own destiny. You are the architect of your own life, and nothing can stand in the way of your vision. You will rise because you refuse to stay down. You will rise because you know that no matter how many times you fall, you can always get back up. But even as you rise, remember that it's not about seeking validation from others. It's not about proving anything to anyone except yourself. You don't rise to make others happy. You rise to prove to yourself that you are worthy, that you are capable, that you are enough. You rise because you know that your worth is not determined by the opinions of others, by their judgment, or by their standards. You rise because you know that you are the only one who has the power to define your life. And when you rise, don't forget to honor the journey that got you here. Don't forget the struggles, the pain, the moments of doubt, because it is through those moments that you found your true strength. It is through those moments that you discovered who you really are. Every obstacle you've faced, every challenge you've overcome, has shaped you into the person you are today. And now, as you rise, you carry with you all the lessons, all the wisdom, all the strength that you've gained along the way. So rise, unapologetically. Rise with the knowledge that you have everything you need to succeed. Rise with the understanding that no matter what the world throws at you, you are unshakable. You are unstoppable. You are free. Free to create, free to build, free to live your life on your terms. And remember this, as you rise, you are not alone. You are rising for everyone who's ever felt small, who's ever felt powerless, who's ever been told they couldn't. When you rise, you give others the courage to rise with you. Your success is not just your own. It is a beacon for everyone who's ever felt like they didn't have what it takes. You rise not just for yourself, but for them. And that's why your rise will never be stopped. Because when you rise, you light the way for others to follow. You lead by example. You show the world that no matter how many times you fall, you can always rise again. You rise. And as you do, you show everyone around you that they can too. So rise. With every ounce of your being, rise higher than you ever thought possible. And never stop. Because the world is waiting for you to show them the power of someone who has burned it all down and chosen to rise. And when you do, when you rise with everything you've got, you'll realize something incredible. This rise is not just a moment in time. It's who you are now. You are a force of nature, unstoppable, undeniable. And this is just the beginning. So rise, burn the past, embrace the power within, and never look back. The world is waiting for you to show them what it means to be unstoppable, to break free from everything that tried to hold you down, and walk into your greatness. You've already proven that nothing can break you. Now it's time to build, to create, and to rise higher than ever before. This is your moment. This is your time. Rise and never stop. Welcome, you silent storm, you unseen force marching through shadows. You, the one they whispered about behind closed doors, the one they tried to erase, outthink, outplay, and outmaneuver. You, the anomaly they didn't expect, the calculation they couldn't solve. You walk through fire with frozen eyes, untouched, unbothered, unfazed. Not because you were given the easier path, not because you had the numbers. You had every odd stacked against you, and still, you walked through the rigged arena and rewrote the outcome. Let that settle in your chest. Let it pulse with your heartbeat. They built walls around the game. They bent the rules before you stepped in. They whispered in the ears of judges and rewired the scoreboards. They moved the goalposts, rearranged the field, blinded your teammates, and silenced the crowd. But what they couldn't do what no one could ever do, was stop the fire that's born in the silence of isolation. They couldn't touch the fury that grows when someone watches from the shadows, learning every move, counting every breath, studying not just the playbook, but the players themselves. You were underestimated because you didn't announce your greatness. You didn't wave flags or ask for a seat. You sat at the edge and built something stronger. Resilience in solitude. When no one believed you could, when they conspired against your climb, you said nothing. But you listened. You calculated. You evolved. They thought they had you pinned because they had power, but they forgot. Raw hunger eats strategy for breakfast when you've got nothing left to lose. They cheated, but you still taught them the rules they never knew existed. They laughed, but you rewrote the ending while they were busy mocking the first chapter. They painted you as the underdog, and you let them, because you knew how the story ends. They call it luck. Of course they do, because calling it skill means admitting they were never good enough to stop you. It means admitting that even with the deck stacked, the crowd paid, the whistle fixed, you still played and won. Not just once. Every time they tried to bury you, you grew through concrete. Every time they shut the door, you built your own arena. Luck? Number. Your presence just terrifies them. Your calm makes noise in places they never imagined. Your silence before the strike keeps them awake at night. You didn't just survive. You dismantled their illusion of control. You didn't just play the rigged game. You mastered it. And then you flipped the table without ever breaking a sweat. There's something dangerous about the person who doesn't flinch in chaos. That's who you are. You are not a product of their system. You are the result of their betrayal, their lies, their sabotage. And you turned every act of injustice into armor. Every time they tried to humiliate you, you smiled, because you knew they wouldn't put this much energy into stopping you if you weren't a threat. You don't cheat kings unless you're scared of the pawn. And yes, they are scared. Not of your wins, not of your voice, but of your consistency. Your refusal to give in. Your unwillingness to fall apart even when the lights went off and the audience turned away. They are scared because you don't rely on applause. You are fueled by legacy, and legacy is not handed out. It's carved. With blood, with silence, with unwavering belief when no one else sees the vision. You were never meant to fit in their version of success. You came to break it. They thought if they broke you first, you'd never rise. But they forgot. Fire doesn't break, it spreads. And when they tried to extinguish you, all they did was pour more oxygen on what was already unstoppable. Look at you now. Look at the storm you've become. Every name they called you, every laugh they threw, every door they slammed. You made it part of the foundation. You built your empire on rejection. And now they pretend not to watch, but they do. Closely, quietly, jealously. Because when someone wins the right way, it's respected. But when someone wins after being rigged, sabotaged, mocked, denied, and underestimated, it terrifies those who built the rig. You didn't just win. You dismantled the myth that they were ever in control. You became a mirror, reflecting what they could never become. Authentic, unbought, unstoppable. And they can't stand that. So now, they whisper. Maybe it was luck. Let them whisper. Let them tell stories. Because deep down, even they know. Your luck scares them because it was never luck. It was survival, turned into strategy. Pain, turned into power. Silence, turned into symphony. They thought they were playing a game. But you were building a legacy. They thought you were walking blind into a world they controlled. They thought you were naive enough to trust the scoreboard, trust the applause, trust the way the crowd leaned. But you knew better. You saw the cracks before they formed. You felt the silence behind their cheers. You weren't fooled. You were focused. You weren't chasing the trophy. You were becoming the reason it mattered. They threw shadows to confuse your path. They planted doubt like weeds, hoping to choke the roots before you grew. But they never understood. Your roots were underground, unshaken, reaching deeper with every betrayal. Every time they tried to poison your name, you became more dangerous. Because you didn't just survive the storm, you learned to command it. And now, you walk with that storm behind you, not to intimidate, but to remind them, you made me this way. Every scar is your signature, but the masterpiece is mine. This game, this twisted system they guard so fiercely, it was never built for someone like you. You weren't bred for the spotlight. You weren't chosen. You were forged. And that difference changes everything. While they needed a stage to matter, you needed nothing but silence and time. While they craved applause, you trained in the dark, over and over, not to prove yourself, but to prepare for a war they didn't know was coming. And when it came, when the moment arrived, you didn't flinch. They did. They saw you step forward, unbothered, uninvited, unstoppable, because you didn't just want to win, you wanted truth. And truth doesn't blink when the rules bend. Truth walks through fire and waits on the other side. That's what you did. And they hate it, not because you beat them, but because you revealed them. You showed the world that they never had what they claimed. You stripped away their performance and exposed the weak spine behind their pride. You made it clear. This game was never about fairness, but you beat it anyway. And that, above all else, is why they fear you now. They tell themselves stories to sleep better. You got lucky. The system glitched. You won't do it again. But inside, they know. Your consistency terrifies them. Your quiet persistence doesn't follow trends. You don't chase moments, you create impact. Every time they think you're done, you show up stronger, sharper, smarter. Because your motivation doesn't come from victory, it comes from purpose. And purpose doesn't fade when the camera's cut. Purpose doesn't sleep when the night is long. Purpose digs in when everyone else runs. You've been watching, learning, waiting. You're not just a player in their rigged game anymore. You're the storm coming to rewrite the rules. And still, they cheat, they lie, they twist the numbers, try to discredit your work, erase your progress, tarnish your name. They use shadows because they can't survive your light. They gather in corners and speak in riddles, hoping you'll fold. But they forget. You've walked alone so long, silence is a weapon now. You don't break in silence, you sharpen. There is no shortcut to what you've become. No manual, no mentor, no magic. Just grit, pain, failure, and unforgiving repetition. While they partied, you built. While they laughed, you bled. While they manipulated, you mastered. And now they wonder why their applause no longer echoes over you. It's because you outgrew their arena. You were never meant to stay in their rigged system. You were meant to destroy the illusion and inspire others to rise too. You didn't come just to win. You came to open the gates so others trapped in fear and silence could see what's possible. Because once you beat the game they stacked against you, you realize it was never about you at all. It was about every soul watching in silence. Every voice muted by doubt. Every hand reaching for more but told to settle. And now, you're not just a fighter. You're a symbol of rebellion, of excellence, of what happens when persistence meets injustice and refuses to bow. They underestimated you because they measured strength in noise. But your silence was louder than their screams. And your rise, it's irreversible now. They wanted you gone, but you became their echo. They tried to bury you in shadows. Now, you are the storm cloud overhead. They tried to erase you. Now, your name is etched in their regrets. Luck, number. Luck bends to the prepared. And you, my friend, were built for the day they thought would break you. They thought they rigged the ending, but you were only just beginning. You see, they always feared someone like you. Not because you were loud, not because you were flashy, but because you were focused, because you refused to crack when the weight got unbearable, because you didn't flinch when they sent waves meant to drown you. You learned how to breathe underwater. They tried to drag you under, but you found peace there, in the quiet, in the pressure, in the suffocating darkness. You found clarity they never will. While they needed the sun to grow, you bloomed in the dark. They built empires on comfort, on inherited titles, on connections and politics. But you carved your name into the stone with bare hands. While they were handed scripts, you wrote your own, one bruise at a time. They mocked you when you were learning. They dismissed you when you were rising. And now, they fear you because you're not fueled by the same fragile things they are. Their confidence is borrowed. Yours is earned. Their throne is propped up by lies. Yours is built from truth, from loss, from moments when no one showed up but you stood anyway. You learned how to take hits without begging for mercy. You took rejection and made it your shield. You took isolation and turned it into meditation. You trained in the shadows while they showed off in the spotlight. And now, you move with precision they can't match. Because while they were performing, you were perfecting. While they celebrated early, you kept your head down. You gave yourself no applause because you knew the noise fades. And now, as the noise dies around them, they turn and see you, still moving, still growing, still rising, and it rattles them. They thought your silence was weakness, but it was strategy. Every second you were quiet, you were watching, studying, learning how they operate, how they hide their flaws behind performance, how they scramble when exposed. They thought you were falling behind, but you were just waiting for your moment to strike. And when you did, you didn't roar. You didn't boast. You simply outperformed. And that's what shook them. Not that you won, but that you made it look easy after everything they did to stop you. They cheated and still lost. They lied and still lost. They planned your fall and still lost. Because you are what happens when the underestimated refuses to stay silent. Let them talk. Let them spin their stories. Let them convince each other that this was all an accident, a glitch, a once-off. That's how they cope, because admitting the truth would burn every excuse they ever used to explain why they failed. The truth? You were forged in fire they couldn't survive. You stood up in storms that would have folded them in seconds. You carried burdens that would have broken the best of them. And you still delivered, still showed up, still walked into their house, outplayed them on their terms, and rewrote the ending. You didn't just win the game, you exposed the system. You revealed the truth that most of them never had real power. They only had control. And when someone walks in immune to their approval, immune to their rewards, immune to their tactics, that control evaporates. You didn't play by their rules, you made your own, and you didn't beg them to understand it. You didn't ask for permission. You showed up and let your results do the talking, and they had nothing left to say. And still, you remain focused. You don't chase revenge. You don't need to scream your value, because you know the truth. The greatest payback is becoming undeniable, not to hurt them, but to remind yourself that nothing they did could stop what was already in motion. They thought the story ended when they rigged the system, but you became the plot twist they never saw coming, and now the pressure is back on them. Every room they enter, they're watching for your shadow. Every win they claim, they wonder if you're right behind them, because they know, if you ever decide to return, if you ever enter the arena again, they're already finished. They don't fear your voice. They fear your silence, your patience, your refusal to play for applause. You became their quiet reckoning. And now, the world is watching differently. People are no longer cheering the loudest performer. They're watching the one who shows up when no one claps, the one who delivers without approval, the one who stands alone, again and again, and never stops moving. That's you. You're not hype. You're not a moment. You're not trending. You are momentum. You are what happens when pain meets discipline, when failure is embraced, not feared, when the war is personal and the mission is bigger than pride. They trained for comfort. You trained for endurance. And now, they're tired. You're just getting started. Let them cheat again. Let them rig the board. Let them whisper behind curtains. It changes nothing now, because no matter what they do, you've already become the one thing they can never copy. Real. And now that you stand here, unshaken, they don't know what to do with you. They thought you'd burn out like the rest. They thought you'd crumble after the first round. They thought your silence meant weakness. And now they're realizing too late that it was the silence before the storm. Because you're not a product of luck. You're not a spark that appeared by accident. You're a result, a reaction, a consequence. You are what happens when a system tries to break someone who refuses to be broken. You are the answer to every cheat, every sabotage, every denied opportunity. And now, with nothing left to throw at you, they watch, in fear, in silence, in disbelief, because you've become what they tried to prevent. You see, rigging the game was never just about you. It was about control, fear, keeping the machine running so the same hands always held the power. You challenged that, not by screaming, not by begging, but by becoming undeniable. You took the crooked stage and performed with such mastery that they had to watch you anyway. And when they tried to cut the lights, you became your own fire. They can't control what they didn't create. They can't copy what they never understood. They can't cancel what's already become a force. And that force is you. You've turned every failure into a stepping stone, every rejection into redirection. Where they tried to end you, you started over. Sharper, colder, focused. They can't comprehend how someone without their approval, their blueprint, their validation, could rise like this. But you did, because you weren't here to be liked. You were here to build something that lasts beyond the noise, something that lives in the silence, something they can't touch, can't fake, and will never replicate. And now, they're scrambling, trying to catch up to a shadow that no longer moves by their time. They're still playing checkers while you're designing entire chessboards. They're still clinging to a game you already outgrew. You don't want their trophies. You don't want their praise. You don't need the stage, because you became the standard. You didn't just beat the game. You made it irrelevant. You exposed it for what it was, a glass throne built on lies and panic. And now, with nothing left to hide behind, they're seeing themselves clearly, through the reflection of your consistency, your growth, your quiet, thunderous rise. This is what they fear most. Not your power, not your presence, your persistence, because they have always been strong in moments. But you are strong in seasons, in decades, in storms. You last longer, burn slower, and when everyone else is gone, exhausted, confused, you're still standing. Not out of stubbornness, but because you trained for the long war while they prepared for the easy win. They bought shortcuts. You built character. They found shortcuts. You found pain and kept going. They made noise. You made history. So don't you dare slow down. Don't you look back at those who tried to stop you. They were part of the training. They were never the threat. They were the weight you carried while climbing. But they weren't the mountain. And now, the summit is yours. Not because it was gifted, but because you took every step without applause, without help, and without quitting. And now you walk with something they'll never have. Proof. Proof that no matter how rigged the board, how biased the judges, how many traps they set, you cannot stop someone who knows who they are. Because you stopped waiting for justice. You became it. You stopped asking for a path. You built it. You stopped hoping for a fair shot. You trained until you became the shot. And now, they fear the very thing they created. Because this version of you, it only exists because they tried to break you. You didn't just survive the sabotage. You became the reason it no longer works. So when they talk about you, and they will, let them call it luck. Let them pretend it was timing. Let them say whatever helps them sleep, because deep down, they know. Your luck scares them because it reminds them what's possible when someone refuses to fold. It reminds them of everything they could have been if they'd been built like you. They fear you because you are what they couldn't predict, what they couldn't sabotage, what they couldn't silence. And if they couldn't stop you when they were in control, they'll never touch you now that you're in command. So stand tall, not with ego, but with memory, with the weight of everything you endured, with the scars that speak louder than words. Because this journey wasn't about proving them wrong. It was about proving to yourself that no matter how twisted the path, you were always the one. And now, they know it too. You want to know the truth? They never stood a chance, because all their cheating, all their politics, their favoritism, their shortcuts, those were signs of weakness, not power. They needed all of that just to try and keep you down, and even then, they failed. They had every advantage, every lever, every secret back door. But you had the one thing they couldn't manufacture, a reason that never faded, a reason that never sold out, a reason that kept you moving when the pain had nothing left to give. That's what they don't understand. It was never about talent. It was never about access. It was never about being chosen. It was about refusing to quit when quitting was easier. It was about choosing discipline when distraction was everywhere. It was about rising every time they knocked you down, not to make noise, but to keep the promise you made to yourself, the one no one heard, the one no one understood. You weren't built in comfort. You were built in rejection. You were built in silence. You were built when no one watched. So now that they're watching, you don't change. You don't soften. You don't bend to make them comfortable. You don't need to explain the grind. You don't owe them a damn thing. Let them watch. Let them wonder. Let them whisper about how you did it. Because the real ones know it was never luck. It was never given. It was earned. Through pain, through setbacks, through 1,000 quiet moments where you could have stopped, but didn't. That's what they fear most. That you're not done. That this is just the beginning. That everything they did to stop you only taught you how to never be stopped again. You are not the storm. You are what survives after it, and no one can rig what's already written. Let me tell you what happens when you finally see through someone's mask. It's not just about catching them in a lie or spotting an inconsistency in their story. No. It's about that moment when you finally peel back the layers of deception and see them for who they truly are. That mask they wear, it's their protection, their shield, their false identity that they've spent years crafting, molding, and perfecting. It's a facade that has allowed them to manipulate, control, and shape the narrative to fit their desires, to use you and others for their own selfish purposes. But when you see through it, when the veil is lifted, that is when the power shifts. That is when everything changes. The world that they've so carefully built around themselves starts to crumble. The walls they've constructed to keep their true selves hidden begin to crack. And you, yes, you, are the one who's wielding the hammer that brings it all down. They can't hide anymore. They can't deceive you anymore. The truth is out, and in that truth lies an unbearable weight. For in that moment, you realize that the person they've shown you for so long was never real. They've been playing a game all along, and you were merely a pawn in their strategy. But now that the mask has fallen, they're left exposed, vulnerable, and terrified. And that fear? That's the real power. It's an extraordinary thing, seeing through the mask. It's like you've been given access to a secret room that no one else was allowed into. You're standing there looking at them, at the raw, unfiltered version of who they are, and you can't help but feel a sense of superiority, a sense of triumph. They thought they could hide their true nature from you, thought they could deceive you with their words, their actions, their carefully rehearsed personas. But now you know the truth, and there's no going back. The mask is off, and they are naked before you. And that knowledge, that's the weapon you now hold in your hands. They can try to play it off. They can try to act like it doesn't matter. But you see the fear in their eyes. You hear the tremble in their voice when they speak. You can feel the weight of their anxiety, the panic that's rising in them. Because they know, deep down, that you've seen them for what they really are. And that realization, that vulnerability, it's the thing that will haunt them. It's the thing that will stay with them long after the moment has passed. Because once you've seen through the mask, there's no unseeing it. You've pierced the illusion, and nothing can ever be the same again. They were so confident, so sure of themselves, but now they're terrified, because they know they've lost control. They've lost the one thing that gave them power, their ability to deceive. And without that, they're exposed. Without that, they're weak. It's a terrifying thing to be seen for who you really are. For so long, they've hidden behind the mask, carefully crafting a story, a narrative that was all their own. But now that story has been shattered, and they are left with nothing but the truth. And that truth is something they can't escape from. This is the moment they've feared. This is the moment they've been desperately trying to avoid. The moment when their carefully constructed life comes crashing down. They thought they could control the narrative, thought they could pull the strings without anyone noticing. But now they're the ones being controlled. Now, they're the ones who are afraid. Because you've seen through their lies, and once you know the truth, there's no going back. You've taken away their power, and now they're exposed, vulnerable, and petrified. But here's the thing, this isn't just about their fear. No. It's about what you do with that power. Because now that you've seen through the mask, now that you've broken down their walls, you hold all the cards, you have the upper hand, and that's where the real test begins. What will you do with this knowledge? Will you use it to your advantage, to manipulate them back? Will you strike when they least expect it, bringing them to their knees in a moment of weakness? Or will you hold on to the truth, keeping it to yourself, knowing that you've won in a way they'll never understand? The choice is yours, but remember this, they are petrified right now, and that fear gives you control. Fear is a powerful thing. It's a force that can shape actions, bend minds, and tear people apart. When someone is afraid, they are no longer in control of themselves. They are at the mercy of their emotions, their insecurities, and their own anxiety. And when you see that fear, when you understand it, you understand them in a way that no one else does. You see them for who they really are, their weaknesses, their fears, their vulnerabilities. And that knowledge gives you power. The power to manipulate, the power to break them down, the power to use their own fear against them. But the real question is, what will you do with that power? Will you take the high road and let them off easy? Will you walk away knowing that you've won, knowing that you've stripped them of their mask, knowing that you've exposed them for the frauds they are? Or will you let the fear fester? Will you let it consume them, knowing that you are the one who holds the key to their destruction? The decision is yours, and that's what makes this moment so intoxicating. You are the one in control now. You are the one with the power, and it's up to you how you use it. But don't fool yourself into thinking they won't try to fight back. Oh, they will. They'll scramble. They'll try to patch up the cracks, to put the mask back on and pretend like nothing ever happened. They'll try to convince you that everything is fine, that the truth doesn't matter, that it's all just some misunderstanding. But deep down, they know that they can't fool you anymore. They know that you've seen through their lies, and that knowledge will haunt them for as long as they live. Because once you've peeled back the mask, once you've seen the truth, there's no pretending. There's no going back. And let me tell you, that fear, it doesn't go away. It stays with them, lurking in the background, always there, always reminding them of their weakness. They'll be afraid of you, afraid of what you might do with the knowledge you've gained. They'll be afraid of the power you now hold, and they'll be afraid of themselves, because they know that they are no longer in control. You are. They may try to rebuild their mask, try to wear a new one, but it won't be the same. It will never be the same. The cracks are there, and no matter how much they try to hide them, you'll always see them. You'll always know. And that knowledge, that awareness, will eat away at them, bit by bit, until they're nothing more than a shell of who they once were. They'll live in constant fear of being exposed again, of having their mask ripped off for the world to see. They'll never know peace again, not as long as you're around. But here's the thing, this is what they deserve. This is the price they pay for the lies, for the manipulation, for the years of deceit. They thought they could get away with it. They thought they could hide behind their masks forever. But you've shown them the truth, and now they have to live with the consequences. And those consequences will haunt them. They will never be the same. The fear will stay with them, and it will eat away at them until there's nothing left. And you, well, you will stand above them, watching as they crumble under the weight of their own terror. So let them be petrified. Let them tremble in fear, because you've won. You've unveiled their mask, and now they're exposed, vulnerable, and terrified. They thought they had control, but now it's yours. And that is the true power. The power to see through the lies, to expose the truth, and to make them feel the weight of their own fear. They'll never forget the moment you saw them for who they truly are, and neither will you. Because once the mask is off, there's no going back. They're yours for the taking, and you hold all the power to shape the narrative, to influence their every move, to manipulate their thoughts and actions. But with that power comes a choice, doesn't it? The choice of how you wield it. It's intoxicating, the way it feels to have someone under your control, to know that every word they speak, every action they take, every decision they make is influenced by you, whether they realize it or not. This is a moment of clarity, a moment of understanding. You've been playing the game unknowingly at times, but now you see that you've always been the one in control. You were never really a victim. They were, and that fact should make you feel both triumphant and cautious. You now hold the kind of power that can break someone completely, the kind of power that can strip them of their pride, their dignity, their sense of self. It's not just about making them feel uncomfortable anymore. It's about taking away their ability to control their own narrative. When you unveil their mask, you reveal their deepest fears, their insecurities, and those are the things that can destroy them from the inside out. No one can survive the weight of their own vulnerabilities once they are exposed. They try to patch things up, to build up another layer, but you know the truth now. You hold the knowledge that will unmake them if you so choose. They can see it in your eyes, feel it in the way you speak, hear it in the tone of your voice. They know. Deep down, they know they've lost. And it's not just about the consequences they'll face for their lies. It's about the psychological toll it takes when you're stripped of everything you once held as a shield. The mask was their protection, but now it's gone, and they are standing naked, exposed to the world. with no way to hide. It's not just about fear anymore. It's the crushing realization that they cannot go back. They can't put the mask back on because you've seen them. You've seen their weaknesses. You've seen their true self. And now you are the one with the power. At first, they may try to scramble, to fix what's broken, to rebuild what you've torn down, but it's futile. The cracks are there, and no matter how many times they try to smooth things over, they'll never be the same. You've shattered their confidence, and it's not something that can be easily repaired. You've seen the cracks in their foundation, and now they are acutely aware of just how fragile they really are. Their world of manipulation, of playing pretend, of putting on a show, is crumbling before their very eyes, and there's nothing they can do about it. Do you think they're not aware of the power dynamic that has shifted between you? They know. They understand the precariousness of their situation, and they hate it. They hate that the game is no longer in their hands. They hate that they are no longer in control. It's a feeling of helplessness that, for all their bravado, they are not prepared for. The mask was their only source of control. Without it, they are lost, vulnerable, and afraid. And you are their fear incarnate. You are the one thing they cannot escape from. You are the truth they cannot hide from, no matter how far they run. Now that you've seen them for who they really are, you have a new responsibility. It's a responsibility that comes with a weight that most people would find unbearable. You have to decide, will you use this knowledge to destroy them completely, or will you simply walk away, leaving them to deal with the consequences of their own actions? Either way, the damage has already been done. The mask is gone. The illusion is shattered, and there's no going back to the way things were. They are changed forever, and so are you. You think they don't feel it? You think they don't know that they've lost something essential? Something irreplaceable? They do. They feel it every second of every day. Every time they look in the mirror, they are reminded of their vulnerability. They are reminded of the mask they once wore, the mask that protected them from the world, the mask that allowed them to manipulate and deceive. And now, it's gone. And so is their sense of security. Their world is collapsing around them, and there's no one to turn to. There's no one who can put the mask back on for them. There's no one who can give them back their power. They're alone in their fear, alone in their weakness. But here's the question you must ask yourself. How will you use this? How will you handle this newfound power? Because make no mistake, you have the ability to destroy them, to tear them apart piece by piece. The knowledge you hold, the truth you possess, is a weapon, and weapons can either be used to protect or to destroy. So what will you do with it? Will you use it to bring them to their knees, to make them beg for mercy, to watch as they crumble under the weight of their own guilt and fear? Or will you let them suffer in silence, knowing that they will never be the same again? The choice is yours, and it's one that will define you. What you hold now is not just power, it's a reflection of who you are. The ability to see through the mask, to pierce the illusion, is a strength, but it's also a reflection of the darkness within you, a darkness that sees the truth and does not turn away, a darkness that understands that in order to survive, in order to protect yourself, you must sometimes be willing to expose others for who they truly are. You must be willing to tear down the walls they've built and show the world the fragile, imperfect creatures they really are. It's not a pleasant thing to do, but it's necessary. And when you understand that, when you come to terms with the fact that sometimes the only way to protect yourself is to destroy what's been built around you, you become unstoppable. But don't fool yourself into thinking that this power is without consequences. Oh no, there is a price to pay. The more you see through the masks, the more you uncover the truth, the more you realize just how fragile everything really is. The truth is a double-edged sword. It can set you free, but it can also bind you to a harsh reality, one that you may not always be prepared for. The more you know, the more you see, the harder it becomes to trust anyone. You become isolated, detached, almost like a spectator to the world around you. You see the masks everyone wears, and you understand the lies behind them. You understand the game, and you know the rules. And that understanding can be a burden. It can make you feel as though you are alone in a world of deception, a world where no one is who they appear to be. It can make you feel like an outsider, someone who can never go back to the way things were. Because once you've seen the truth, there's no unseeing it. But here's the thing, there's a certain power in that isolation. There's a certain strength in knowing that you are no longer bound by the illusion, by the lies that others cling to. You are free in a way that they will never understand. You are free because you see the truth. And while they remain trapped behind their masks, trapped in their own lies, you stand on the outside, free to choose your own path. You hold all the power now. They don't. You know what's real, and that makes you dangerous. That makes you unstoppable. And while they tremble in fear, you stand tall, knowing that you have the strength to shape your own destiny. You hold all the power because you are no longer fooled by their tricks, no longer trapped by their web of lies. You've seen through the mask, and once you've seen the truth, nothing can stop you. They will try to regain their power. They will try to put the mask back on and resume the game. But it won't work. Not with you. Not anymore. You've seen the cracks, and you know they are fragile. You know that they are afraid. And you will always hold that power over them. You are free. You are in control. And that's the most dangerous thing of all. Because with that power, you can do anything. You can destroy lives, manipulate outcomes, reshape destinies. It is not a gift lightly bestowed, but one that demands respect and, above all, control. The ability to influence those around you, to bend them to your will, to expose them for who they truly are. That's the kind of power that can shatter the very foundations of the world they've built. They've played the game for so long, hiding behind their masks, thinking they could keep their secrets tucked away in the shadows. But you've brought everything into the light, and once the truth has been revealed, there's no turning back. Every interaction, every conversation, every moment spent in their presence will be tainted by that knowledge. They will never be the same. You've taken away the one thing they thought was their greatest asset, the ability to deceive, to control, to fabricate a false reality. You've seen through it. And now they are exposed, and exposed people, well, they are vulnerable. They can no longer hide. The mask is gone. What you know now is permanent, unchangeable. It doesn't matter how hard they try to rebuild their walls, to craft a new persona, because they are marked forever by the truth you've uncovered. They cannot go back. And that fact, that irreparable destruction of their constructed life, will hang over them for as long as they live. Do you think they will simply forget? Do you think they will just move on as if nothing ever happened? Number. The truth doesn't work that way. It lingers. It gnaws at them. They will wake up in the middle of the night with the cold sweat of realization creeping down their spine. The fear of being exposed will eat at their soul, making them question every decision they make, every word they speak, every action they take. They'll wonder if everyone around them knows what you know, if anyone else can see through their fragile facade. They'll constantly be looking over their shoulder, paranoid and scared, wondering when their secrets will be exposed to the world. It's the kind of power that is insidious, creeping into every corner of their life. And you're the architect of their downfall. You've taken something as intangible as a mask and turned it into something real, something they can no longer escape from. And that's where the real beauty of this power lies, not in how you've exposed them, but in how they must now live with the consequences. They will never again experience the same sense of control they once had. Every step they take from now on will be calculated, measured, careful, because they are living in constant fear of being unmasked again. They will always know that you have seen them for what they truly are, and that knowledge will haunt them. But while they are haunted by their fear, you are free. Free to live without the weight of pretending, without the pressure of hiding behind a mask. You can move through the world with confidence, knowing that you are unshackled by the lies that keep others trapped. This is where true power lies, not in domination, but in the ability to live authentically, to walk through the world without the burden of maintaining a false persona. You see, they were never truly free. They were imprisoned by their need to deceive, by their fear of being exposed. But now, that's all been taken from them. They are the ones living in chains, while you are liberated. And that liberation, that freedom, comes with its own kind of strength. You are not bound by the need to perform, to fit into the mold that others have set for you. You have seen behind the curtain. You've understood the true mechanics of the game, and now you are no longer subject to the whims of the players around you. You are the one who calls the shots. You are the one who determines the rules, and everyone else? They are just pawns, moving on the board according to your design. You've taken their power and made it your own. You've seen through their carefully constructed facades, and now they are left to deal with the fallout. But there is one thing you must remember. While you now hold all the power, there's a fine line between using that power to simply break them and using it to dominate, to manipulate, to shape the world around you in your image. With great power comes great responsibility. The responsibility to decide what you want to do with the truth you hold. Because once you begin using this power, once you start making decisions based on the knowledge you've gained, there is no turning back. It is a path that can lead to darkness if you're not careful. You must choose carefully. Will you use the truth to tear others apart, to destroy them completely? Or will you wield it more carefully, like a scalpel, cutting away at the parts of their lives that need to be exposed while leaving the rest intact? Because here's the truth, there's no going back. Once you've seen through the mask, once you've revealed their vulnerabilities, that's a power that sticks with you forever. You cannot unlearn what you now know, and neither can they. It's a dangerous thing, this kind of power. It is intoxicating, like the finest drug, capable of altering your entire worldview. But it is also a double-edged sword, for as much as you might relish the knowledge that you hold over them, there is the danger of losing yourself in it. Power can corrupt. It can turn you into someone you never intended to be. You must stay vigilant. You must stay grounded. Because once you start enjoying the game too much, once you start relishing the control you now have, it's easy to lose sight of why you wanted to see through the mask in the first place. But let's be real here. You know how far you can push. You know the boundaries. The question now is not whether you will go too far, but what you will do with the power you've earned. You've cracked the shell, and now you stand in front of it, wondering what to do with the creature inside. Do you crush it? Do you destroy it entirely? Or do you shape it, mold it to your desires? You hold the key to their existence now. You are the one who controls the narrative. Every move they make will be influenced by you. Even if they don't realize it, they will never be the same. They will never again have the freedom they once did. You hold all the power, and with that power comes the responsibility. to decide how far you want to take it. Maybe you're feeling the thrill of it now. Maybe you're savoring the way they tremble under your gaze, the way they shift uneasily when they're around you, the way they try to rebuild their masks, but they can't. Because you've seen through it, you've broken it, and they know it. Every step they take from now on will be a dance, a careful maneuver to try and regain what they've lost, but they will never get it back, not fully, because you hold the truth, and the truth is the one thing they cannot control. You can break them with a single word, a single glance. You can make them question everything they've ever known. You can force them to confront their own flaws, their own weaknesses, their own lies. They will spend the rest of their lives looking over their shoulder, wondering when the next blow will come. Because you see, the real beauty of this power isn't in how you use it. It's in knowing that you can. You can destroy them. You can tear them apart. You can watch them crumble under the weight of their own deceit. And that is the true power. To know that you hold their fate in your hands and they can do nothing about it. But remember, with that power, you can do anything. And anything can be dangerous. Anything can consume you. So use it wisely. The world is at your feet now, and every step you take from this moment forward will carry the weight of your decisions. The power is yours to keep or to lose. But once you've seen behind the mask, once you've tasted the truth, there's no going back. You are changed forever. And with that change comes the responsibility to decide who you will become. Because with that power, you can do anything. In the end, you stand at the crossroads of power and consequence. You've seen through the mask, uncovered the truth, and now you hold the ability to reshape everything around you. But with that power comes a choice. The choice to either break them completely or walk away, knowing they will never be the same. The truth you've uncovered is irreversible, a weapon that once unleashed cannot be retracted. And while they tremble in the face of their own fear, you must decide what kind of person you will become. Will you wield this power with caution or let it consume you? Remember, once you've seen the truth, there is no going back. You are changed forever, and how you use that change will define your future. The world is now in your hands. What you do with it is up to you.